All right, so I figured I would make a little preview type video today, but this one's going to be a little bit different. I'm just going to show you how I construct the PSA submissions for the group and also kind of what the process looks like once those submissions do come back from PSA, which we've only had one of my personal orders come back and then a 2-card order for 2 members of the group. So really haven't had a chance to show you the full thing in action yet, but that should be pretty soon based on the updates that I'm seeing from PSA. So this is the group, this is what everybody is familiar with, and if you're checking this out on YouTube and you are not a member of our group, you can go check us out here. I'll leave a link in the description down below, but kind of let me show you what happens when you send cards off. So you send your cards to me. All of the information on how to submit is always in the submission instructions, where I show you kind of the progress on the subs, what the upcoming deadlines are, or at least what I'm projecting they will be. And then from there, kind of the steps for payment, steps for shipping, all that kind of stuff. So we'll get more to that here in a minute. I'm actually putting the submissions together right now, and I apologize if the quality on this video sucks because I am recording it on my phone, which I normally don't do. So here's the cards actually for the submission. What you'll see here is kind of my incoming shipments crate, and then I've got these boxes right here. This is my bubble mailers. I actually just cleared a place on the shelf for those, so I got to move those over here once I finish with this video. But this is the crate, so I will take this to the post office, and all your submissions, when they arrive, they get put in my parcel locker at the post office, my P.O. box, and usually I have to get one of the parcel lockers where I get a key to unlock it. So all the packages are kind of stored there securely. I usually go and pick them up in the afternoons. And then when I get back home, what I will do is I will go through your submission, and you guys have probably seen the submission form before, and that's what these are right here. I keep them in these little file folders. I actually have a cabinet that I'm going to be putting these in at some point here, but for now I kind of keep them in the lockbox. And on top of that, this is where I keep the submissions until I am actually ready to put them into the submission form online, and then get them in this box, which is where I put them until I'm ready to do the preview video and eventually package them to go out. So you get your submission in, I fill out the paperwork for the invoice, I send that to you, give you the deadline for payment, and then I get all of your cards logged in to the submission tracker over here, and I update our count over here too. And this is a good way. It shows the progress on the submissions, and on top of that, it also shows me like a way to just double check that I have the correct number of cards. So maybe I miscounted someone's card on the sheet if they have multiple quantities of the same card. That's a good way for me to kind of verify that information and just make sure that nothing is screwed up along the way. So it's a nice little verification process for myself. So once that is done, I will usually message you on Facebook or email or text you, however you usually prefer to get a hold of me. And then from there, you're pretty much good to go until we start building the submissions. So kind of how it works is on the PSA side of things, I go ahead and I'll type in the information here. Now, what I'll normally do is when I get your submission and put it on the preview thing, I will type it in there and then copy and paste it directly from that submission. So I don't necessarily put them into the system, but I check to see how they are labeled in the system, and that way it is easier for me. I can just copy and paste these back into that little search bar, click on the result, and then quickly type in the declared value and move along with the submission. So I found that's the easier way to kind of do it, and also I can verify the authenticity of the card ahead of time, because if I'm trying to message you on Saturday afternoon once the submissions are due and I got to get it out on Monday, it's the weekend, people might not always be around to respond to messages, so just take care of that ahead of time to avoid any last minute delays to the order. So you'll see here I go and I put them all in order, and then from there I usually will put them on the tracker. I will create a new tab to kind of show you the submission, and it will just say new on it. That's because the submission doesn't have an assigned number. Once I actually enter them all in and put in my billing information, they will actually give me a sub number with the paperwork that I fill out. So if you've ever wondered why I put the cards in a certain order, there's a couple of things I do. Number one is that if you submit cards, I will do my absolute best to keep your cards in all together in the order. There's very few reasons why they wouldn't be. And I'll put them in the same order that you sent them to me, or at least the same order that was indicated on your submission form. So you will see that, and then you will kind of see that I try to keep the same sports together. So if you have an all baseball order, generally I will try to keep you around people who also have all baseball orders. And that is just to make it easier on PSA for just on their end when they do the research and ID on the cards. I know that there's like a lot of different cards, especially if you look at our modern submission where you have a ton of different types of cards. Ultra modern is a little bit different, and so is vintage, where a lot of the cards are very similar from kind of the same sets, same products. A lot of cards that are submitted often with PSA, so they kind of have a handle on that. But I think it's really crucial, especially with the modern. You can kind of see the variety of brands and products and types of cards that we have in here. So I'll do my best to kind of keep the like ones around the same. Another question that I do get sometimes is how do I differentiate the cards if two people submit the same card, which is a fantastic question. So you'll see here that I have, this is the modern submission here. So say, for example, if I have a card that is this 2011 Topps DJ LeMahieu, which is one of the cards that was submitted by multiple people in this submission, what you'll do is you'll see that I have the line number here. So for example, if this was the first card in the submission, it would be line 11 and line 12, which indicates basically the ID for this particular submission for what that card's ID is before it's assigned a certain number of PSA once it's actually encapsulated. And I also try to separate them out just to avoid any confusion in case something were to happen. But I'll separate them out so you can see this DJ LeMahieu has quite a bit of a buffer but with these two DJ LeMahieu's here. So that's kind of the way I do it. So once I get it entered in here, I will double check it with the order that I have on my spreadsheet, and I'll double check the quantity. It tells me how many cards I currently have in the submission. And then they go into this box. This is the box that I'll use for the previews. And then I have the extra submissions here. So I'll keep them in the packaging that you sent to me. And then I'll put the sticky note on the front of the first card. And then I go through and do the preview. So once I do the preview, it gets uploaded to the channel. And after that, what I'll do is I'll start the packaging process. So that you won't be able to see because I don't have any submissions that are being packaged at the moment. But I do have, I'll take usually these 400 count boxes, 300 count boxes, sometimes a little bit larger if I feel I can fit 2 stacks of cards in there. And I will take a couple of cardboard inserts here. So like for example, this piece of cardboard, I can cut this in half, and that will be an appropriate size to have two ends to kind of put on the submission. And then I will rubber band the submission. So I have a stack of rubber bands here. And I'll put the rubber band around the cardboard so it protects the actual cards and card savers from being, squished by the rubber bands, just as a little extra precaution. That's how PSA prefers you send them in. And then I'll put them in these boxes. Before I put them in those boxes, I have these little bubble wrap wraps, and my clock is going to go off here in a minute, so apologies for that. It usually always happens when I record a video. So the cards get put in the cardboard sandwich, and then they are put into this little bubble wrap bag here, which is then put in there. And I usually will line these boxes with bubble wrap. I won't show you the top of this one because it has an address on it. And then I'll take a sticky note and I'll put my customer ID number, so my customer ID with PSA. On top of that, I will have the submission number with it, so the full submission number, not just the last 3 digits that you guys see to refer to the subs. And then I'll put the lines on there, so not necessarily the cards. It won't say like cards 1 through 100 like it does. Oh, there it goes. I'm going to leave the clock in there because I know that some people get a kick out of the clock. But I will put this sticker or the sticky note on top. my customer number, the submission number, and then the line numbers that are indicated on the forms. And then I will put, card 11 on the top, and then whatever the last number is on the bottom. And then I will label that on the top. So then these are also individually bubble wrapped to then be sent off to PSA in a larger box that I send out. And unfortunately, I don't have any footage of that right now because, well, I'm still putting together these submissions. So maybe a different time I'll have to show you guys the actual packaging process to send them off to PSA. But this just ensures that there's multiple layers of protection on the cards. They're not going to slide around during transit. They've got to go all the way from the Midwest to California. It's a long journey, and we don't want anything to happen to them. And PSA packages them very well on their way back from PSA, so they are safe going to and going from. And of course, when I send them back to you, I will take the same level of care that I do when they are sent off to be graded. And then, of course, the last piece of the puzzle here is the preview videos. So usually what I'll do is I will put it right here in the group, and then I will tag everybody who is in the different subs, give you the ID number for the subs, and then you kind of just track your progress. So you can see here's our May 2020 sub, and I'll tell you when it gets logged by PSA. So this isn't when it arrives. Usually I'll put the date when it arrives, or I'll just say that PSA has it. That way we just know, because sometimes it's actually 9 to 10 weeks now is their estimate for value subs of how long it will take them to get logged. Now they are sent in with a higher service level. Generally they will get logged faster, but that's the estimate the PSA is giving at the moment. So you'll see here kind of the time that has elapsed in business days on the subs, of course. And then I have the holidays listed here. So this is a network days formula that is used to calculate this. Basically what this will do is it will eliminate any weekend days, and then it will also eliminate any holidays from this equation here. So I put in all the holidays, basically 1 full year's worth. So as soon as the holiday passes for 2020 and we don't have any more subs that were impacted by that holiday on the wait times, I'll put in the date for 2021. So these are basically the days that post office is closed, banks are closed, federal holidays. It's the same days that PSA has off. So of course the submission tracker always shows you the stages, and then I will leave this up for, usually it's 30 days. Sometimes it's a little bit more, just depending on how large the sub is. Just to kind of show you how everything was. And then I have a special archive, but that also has personal information on it, so I will not be showing that today. That shows kind of each of the subs, and that's just for my records. So that is that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, found it, I don't know, maybe you found it useful, maybe you found it fun. Hopefully it provided you some entertainment value, if nothing else. But if you want to see more videos like this, would be happy to share them at some point in time. But until next time, I will see you guys later. Have a great weekend. Stay safe.